Okay, class. Now, yesterday I have started with this chapter, Landscape of the Soul, right? I told you the story is about art forms. It's about Chinese art forms as well as European art forms. So it's a contrast between two art forms, and in the beginning itself, few stories are narrated to us about art. The first story narrated was about a great painter, Wu Daozi, who gifted the Emperor Zhuangzong a painting. He kept the painting under the screen so that only the emperor could have the first look at it. It was a beautiful landscape with mountains, streams, flying birds, immense large clouds. And he told the emperor that at the foothills of these mountains dwells a spirit, right? He showed him the entrance to the cave. He entered into that cave, which was there at the foothill of the mountain, and he asked the emperor to come inside. But before the emperor could say anything or do anything, the entrance of the cave closed and the painter disappeared. The painting also disappeared, and the painter was never ever seen. To what extent this story is real or not, nobody knows, but yes, that is what Chinese painting it's all about. They would take you, transport you into an entirely different world. There's another story about a painter who wouldn't draw an eye of a dragon because he feared that the dragon would fly out of the painting if he gets another eye. Then we are told about another story about a blacksmith who falls in love with a painter's daughter. Now, in order to woo the girl for herself, he goes to his father's studio and he paints a fly there. The fly is so real that the painter didn't realize that it was a painting and he tried to hit it. So the painter was so much impressed by this painting of the blacksmith that he hired him as an apprentice or as a trainee. Later on, this blacksmith marries the painter's daughter and he became world famous, one of the famous painters of the time. Right? So these stories reveal as to how art form is believed to be followed in two different regions in the world. In Europe, an artist wants a viewer to see a real viewpoint. That was the fly one. That was the European art. And in Chinese, it is illusion. In China, the artist doesn't paint a real one, but uses his inner and spiritual voice to create an abstract piece. It's absolutely based on your imagination, right? So that is the difference between the two. Ambika, the screen is visible to you, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to start from these stories revealed as to how.
Okay, ma'am. These stories revealed as to how art form is.
Just a second. Wait. I need to come on to the text. That was not the text. Please wait. We have read that such stories play an important part. And to a blacksmith we have done. Just a second, please. Have to start from. This concept is expressed as shan shui.
This concept is expressed as shan shui, literally mountain water, which is used together represent the word landscape. More than two elements of an image, these represent two complementary poles, reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the
Ambika,
water
I'll
is
just
yin.
take a second. Ambika, I'll just take a second, please. You have to wait because I believe there's somebody that. Hmm.
While the water is yin, horizontal and resting on earth, fluid, moist and cool. The interaction of yin and the respective feminine aspect of universal energy and its counterpart yang, active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void where their interaction take place. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayam. Breathe in, retain, breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the white, unpainted space in the Chinese landscape.
Okay. Now, before we further move on, we ourselves, we know since our childhood, we must have seen so many forms of art, right? I'm talking about the basic ones, which a child does, right? Fingerprinting, thumb printing, then you have your cotton dabbing, then you have your wool dabbing. There's so many art forms. Art is a very vast subject as such. It is beautiful. It has its own ethnic beauty, right? And it's very vast. People who study art, they must be realizing that art has its various forms and it has a very deep meaning inside it. So here in this chapter, as I told you, we're talking about art forms. And art in its form, there's certain things which are symbolic of certain elements, right? That is what is stated here in this stanza. In the Chinese form also, here the landscape, the concept is expressed as shanshui. We must have heard about this word shanshui, which is mountain water. Basically, shanshui deals with the nature, right? It's mountain water, which used together present the word landscape. Now, more than two elements of the image that represent two complementary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. So, Taoist view, Taoist is a painter. You remember the first story which I narrated, right? The painter who painted a beautiful landscape and he gifted to the emperor, right? So that was Tao. So it's the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertical towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun. This is the symbolism we are talking about. Mountain is known as yang, which is heaven, which is stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the water is yin. And the water is yin, that means it is horizontal and resting on the earth, fluid, moist, and cool. The interaction of yin, the receptive, feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine. So these two are symbolic. Yin and yang. Yang is the masculine one, and yin is the soft, feminine one. Right? So what is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void, where their interaction takes place. So this can be compared with yogic practice of pranayam, breathe in, retain, breathe out, right? The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. Nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. This is what symbolism I'm talking about. That is basically we're talking about Chinese art form, where yin is the soft one, feminine one, and yang the masculine one. And he says there is that's mediator is also there, which is that unpainted space in Chinese paintings. Okay, Chali, let's continue.
This is also This is also where man finds a fundamental role. In that space between heaven and earth, he becomes the conduit of communication between both poles of universe. His presence is essential, even if it's only suggested, far from being lost or oppressed by lofty peaks. He is in Francois Cheng's wonderful expression, the eye of landscape.
So the middle void is where a man finds an important role. Man is the channel of communication in the two major forces, the yin and the yang, right? Between the heaven and the earth, which are the two poles of the universe. Man's presence is essential. It is not being lost or suppressed due to high peaks, but he is the eye of the landscape. He is the onlooker of the landscape. So his presence is very important. This is Chinese interpretation, Chinese belief in art forms, how they express what is their symbolism of art forms that is being described here in these two stanzas, right? Um, that's it. We have finished with the chapter. So as I told you, the chapter is not any story which is going on in a flow. It's, you can say, It's an amalgamation of various incidents telling about the art forms, giving a contrast between European art form and Chinese art form, right? Now, this is the text reading what we have done. There's certain section which I feel we have omitted. I just want you to read out that one also. Antwerp, we have read. Yes, this section, please read it out once again. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting. Yes, please read from this one. In the Chinese story.
In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance, but the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. Let me show the way, the Tao, a word that means both the path or the method and the mysterious works of the universe. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal beyond any material appearance.
So, as in the Chinese story, we found that the artist reveals the true meaning of his work to the emperor who rules over his territory, but didn't know the way within. So, the artist know that the painting is not just an outer landscape which is very beautiful. It has a deeper meaning, right? But he did not know the way within. So, the emperor only saw the outer space of the wall painting. Emperor can just see the outer face. That is, yes, it's a beautiful painting. The work was mysterious, and Dao, which means something which has both parts, is what the artist did. As the painting was gone, after the artist reached the caves, the motive was fulfilled that some work is beyond material appearance. Yes. Uh, okay. Ambika, please continue reading. A classical Chinese landscape.
A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reduce an actual view, as would a Western figurative painting. Whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at the particular landscape exactly as he saw it, from a specific angle. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down, then back again, is in a leisurely movement. This is even more true in the case of horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. It also requires the active participation of the viewer who decide at what pace he will travel through the painting, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes. He wants you to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space.
Right. Now, this is what they are giving the contrast very clearly. Right now, I have told you about the Chinese symbolism, the yin, the yang, the mediator force, the blank space in the painting, the white space. So now, a classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view. It was not, if any classic Chinese painting you say, the purpose is not just to show the reality. The purpose is not just to give you the actual view, as would a Western figurative painting. Western painting gives you the actual view. But whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. Now, European painter wants what he had in his mind, the way the art form, the imagination, what he has in his mind while painting that, he wants you to look from the same angle. But the Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. Chinese, they give a major, big viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you cannot enter it from any point. So Chinese landscapes are not a real one, and you can enter it from any point and then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down and then back again in a leisurely movement. So the artist gives you that much freedom that you can travel anywhere. You can have your own imagination, right? And then you can come, you can have that leisure moment, and then you can come back to the main point, right? So we are discussing in detail here about the Chinese art form and what the Chinese think, right? But this is the time actually when all of us, we have actually surrendered all Chinese goods and all Chinese apps, right? We have absolutely given up all Chinese products, being absolutely national and good patriots. We are looking just for all desi products and desi apps these days, right? So this is even more true in the case of an horizontal scroll. When the Chinese paintings give you that chance, that opportunity to move around here and there in leisurely movement, to take out your own sense of the painting, to be transported in your own imaginative world. So this is more true in that horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling up to move on to the another, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. So what they do, it's like layers. Now, one thing you will be open, that will be transporting you to into another one, and then you will come back to that one, right? So that is what the Chinese form of painting is all about. So coming back here again, it also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at what place he will travel through the painting. So through the painting, where the viewer wants to go, where he wants to be transported, that is absolutely his choice. He is the one who has to decide. In the European one, it is in the hands of the painter. The painter gives an angle and he expects his onlookers to look the painting from the same angle. It is restricted. But the Chinese one is an open one. It gives a chance. The onlookers are the decision. They want to decide in which world they want to be transported. So the Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes. He wants you to enter his mind. The European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and to look at the painting from his angle, from his perspective. But the Chinese painter doesn't want you to borrow his eyes. He wants you to enter his mind and to think in a manner, to think in various ways, various dimensions, what he was thinking about when he was making that painting. So that is what the contrast here is majorly highlighted. Now the landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and a conceptual space, right? This is what the exact here it is. And then we come to that yin yang, the landscape one, which we have already done. So with this, I finished the explanation of the chapter. Okay, so tomorrow most probably I'll be discussing the question answers of this chapter with you people, right? Meanwhile, I'm just coming back to the screen. Aaron, you can stop here.